Do you feel like you hate your job? I'm going to share with you how to survive a job you hate so that you can have the strength to continue until you get a new job. Hi, welcome to this channel. My name is Jo Randolph, and on this channel, I share with women how to get their dream job and create a career they love. If you want to watch videos like this, come and join us and subscribe. I post new videos every single week. Now, in today's video, I'm going to dive deeper into the Love Your Job series. This is a series where I'm sharing how to love your job. In this week's video, I'm going to share with you how to survive a job you hate. Let's start with a common mistake that I try to avoid and always recommend that my clients avoid, which is complaining. I know seeing me say that makes you probably want to quit this video because you're like, girl, you have no idea how many things I have to complain about. And I totally get it. But here's the thing, if you're going to survive this job, complaining does not serve you. What you focus on expands. If you're focusing on all the things you don't like about your job, about the company, about the people you work with, if you go to work with that mindset, it's going to be no surprise that all you're going to see are all the faults and all the mistakes and all the things that you don't like that people make at that organization. However, if you go in there thinking, okay, this job sucks, I can't change that. And you know what? Focusing on all the things I hate isn't helping me. But what if I am supposed to learn something from this frustrating and difficult situation? How can I be the better person? And how can I grow from this difficult time in our life? Because let's be real, if you are going through something else in your life, so for example, I used to have a really big tumor on my pancreas and I didn't know if I had cancer or not, and it was just scary, and the surgery to remove it and multiple organs was tough. But then I had to remind myself that, like, if I'm going to get through this, I can't sit here complaining about my tumor. I can't complain about all these things. I have to think positive, and positivity and perseverance and just trying to find the beauty in the hardest of times, just trying to find one thing to be grateful for. It makes it so much easier. And maybe you've noticed this if you've ever been sick, or you've ever noticed someone that you love being sick, that if they find little ways to enjoy their day in a really sucky situation, they really grow as a human being. And with your career, it's a similar kind of thing. So how do you do this? The first thing I recommend is to start thinking like a survivor. I totally know how angry you are, or sad, or frustrated, or disappointed, or hurt you are when the people that you work with do something or say something that affects you. So for example, workplace bullying is a common thing. You working in a toxic organization is a common thing, and you can feel powerless in the situation. You can feel like they are doing things to you and it sucks. One thing that is amazing about our brains is that whatever we tell ourselves tends to end up being the things that we believe about ourselves. So for example, if you say to yourself, I am ugly and I am just an ugly person, and you really believe that in the core of your being, then that's who you end up believing you are. But if you tell yourself, I am beautiful, I am strong, I'm a survivor, I'm amazing, and you really believe that, then you act like someone who feels beautiful, strong, and amazing. So when you're thinking about this, think of yourself as a survivor instead of a victim to the nonsense that you're experiencing at work. Not sure if you've ever seen clips or even watched I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, but they are in a jungle and they have to do stuff that they really don't want to do, whether it's having snakes all around them, spiders, basically their biggest fears. They have to do that, and at the end of it, they get a prize, whether it's a financial reward or the show donates money to their favorite charity. What I want you to think about is, how can you be a survivor? You might not be surrounded by snakes or spiders or things that you're fearful of, but there will be a time when you quit your job, and that end of the job, think of it as kind of like the final. And if you can make it to the final and you can really do that, then by the time you're done, you will be totally transformed. People who complete the Celebrity Get Me Out of Here challenge, they always talk about how this show has helped them get out of their comfort zone and really grow as a person. And your job has the potential to do that for you too. The next thing I recommend is to discover what would motivate you to do your best at your job and see it through till the end. Now, one thing that I've noticed a lot of people do is when they're unhappy, they start to check out. They don't work as hard, they don't put in as much effort, and you probably think, why am I putting in an effort for a job that I don't love? Like, I'm not really getting anything in return. But here's the thing. You may not feel like the company deserves your best. However, you know what? You deserve to put in the best no matter what you do, because when you put in your best, you can leave an organization with your integrity and with your head held high, knowing that you did your absolute best, and goddamn, they are lucky that they even had you in the first place, and they will miss you when you're gone. And there's nothing that feels good than having someone miss you when you're gone and you're totally over them, right? If you weren't to get paid what you've been paid, and if you were to earn nothing for this job, chances are you'd be pretty upset. But the fact that you are getting paid, even if it's not as much as you want, it's still something. And when you get that paycheck and you get that, money in your account, be like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Not necessarily to your boss, but maybe to the universe or to God or whatever you believe in. Be like, I am so grateful, I got the money. And when you're spending it, just really be present to what you're spending and be like, I'm so glad that I can buy this food. I'm so glad that I can buy this. I'm so glad I can do this because of the money this job has given me. And this can motivate you to keep going. If your job doesn't motivate you at all, then try and think about if there's something you can do outside of work that will motivate you to keep going. Having something to motivate you, whether it's at your job or outside of your job, can really give you the strength to persevere until you hit that deadline. The other thing that can be really helpful is also managing your anxiety. When you hate your job, I remember when I hated my job, it was a Sunday and I needed to go back to work, the Monday, and I absolutely dreaded the idea of going back to work. Just the thought of going to the office and seeing one person who I felt wasn't treating me kindly and who I felt was toxic. Just the thought of it gave me so much anxiety that I burst into tears and I was shaking just by the thought of going back to work. And that's when I realized that I could not live this way, and I needed to find a way to better manage my stress and anxiety in the workplace. Now, the things you can do, such as meditating, journaling, maybe even seeing a therapist if that's something that could be of value to you. And last but not least is to never give up hope that you'll have a good day at work. It's tempting to assume that you'll always have a bad day at work. And if you know anything about the law of attraction in terms of how your thoughts and your beliefs behind those thoughts and your emotions behind those thoughts, they create the reality that you live. Now, if you're not familiar with the law of attraction, I totally recommend you check out Esther Hicks' book on and Abraham Hicks on the law of attraction, because honestly, it's mind-blowing. When I came across this, I was like, oh my gosh, we really do create our own reality. A lot of people hate that thought because they're thinking, I didn't create my own reality. I didn't create my sickness. I didn't create my sucky job, or I didn't create this. However, let me put it this way. If you were to think a certain thought and believe a certain thing, that influences your behavior. And sometimes the way you behave influences how people treat you in the workplace. So for example, one time I was working at a company and I felt I was being untreated fairly by someone within the team, and they said something that was quite rude, and I thought they weren't treating me fairly because I was young. I was a recent graduate. So I ended up writing an email, which was actually quite harsh, pushing back on what they said. But the way that I handled it wasn't a really good way of handling it, and I only ended up pissing off this person more. So they got more frustrated with me and they got more mean to me, and I was never able to rectify that relationship. In fact, we were never allowed to work together again. And that was a huge mistake on my part, because I turned what was a frustrating situation into a toxic situation. Now, I might not have started it, but I certainly wasn't helping. And what I'm trying to say is that that wouldn't have happened if I didn't have the thought that someone was out to get me. If I instead had the thought of, okay, this person was trying to give me feedback, it wasn't that constructive, but what can I take out of it? I'd have been able to handle it in a much more mature way, and it wouldn't have blown up the way that it did. If you go to work with the intention every day of the intention of finding one thing that you like about your job, if you think about that and you recognize it, then by the time you come home, you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10 things that you're grateful for from your day at work. But if you go to work dreading it and thinking, I don't want to be here, then you're going to be thinking that thought throughout the entire day, and it's going to be very difficult for you to actually find anything that you're grateful for, because all you're thinking about is, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this, like a broken record, and you're stuck in that state. So instead, go to work hoping for a good day, look for things you're grateful for that happen that day, and that will make it so much easier for you to survive this job that you hate. Anyways, I would love to know, what's one reason that you dislike your job, and what are you thinking about doing about it? Are you thinking about changing careers, getting a new job? Let me know by leaving a comment in the box below. I always find it fascinating to learn what people find frustrating at their job, and perhaps I'll create more videos around that. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. It was so great to create this video for you. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Speak to you again next week. Thanks so much for watching. All right, bye. So how do you do this? The first thing to do is my daughter's here. Can you hear my daughter in the background? The first